success of the horse racing industry is very dependent on ensuring transparent and fair procedures. Many will see that on opening a race book, each horse has a published weight alongside its name. This is the weight that a horse must carry on its back as per its handicap or the terms of the race. Since a single kilo can make a difference of a length or two, it is very crucial to ensure that there are no unacceptable discrepancies between the published weight to be carried and the weight that the horse actually carries. In this regard, the clerk of the scales carries a huge burden of responsibility on his shoulders.
I have been with the clerk of scales, I think, for more than 5 years, coming to the 6 years or 7 years. I think number one, the clerk of scales has to be calm. Number two, he has to be mentally, so-called, the mental calculation has to be there, because you have to take the calculated weights, additional or subtracted the calculated weights. And of course, in all circumstances, I think he must understand the racing information in order to be a good clerk of scales. Weighing out of the jockey is to ensure that the jockey goes out of the weighing room in the correct weights and inclusive of the saddles, so that when he goes on the horse carry the allocated weight of the handicap in the race. And weighing in is to ensure that the jockeys come back of the race according to the requirements of the allowance allowed by the MRA rules of racing.
Before the race, jockeys must weigh out, and after the race, they must weigh in. So, in this respect, out will happen before in. It can all get a little confusing till you actually think about it, which is when it all starts to make sense. A jockey will weigh out to go to the race and weigh back in after the race is over. It is also important to know what equipment is included as part of the weight that is recorded by the clerk of the scales under internationally acceptable norms of weighing out and in.
Okay, the importance of weighing out and weighing in is to ensure that punters, that the horses carry the right weight allocated for them during the races. That means if a horse is allocated 57 kg, we have to inform the punters that the horses do carry 57 kg. Any adjustment in the weights, like if the apprentice claim a lighter weight, we have to inform through our racing information system that they are carrying, let's say, 1 kilo lesser, or if the jockeys are overweight, then we have to inform them so that the punters, they can themselves adjust and measure the chances of the horses winning. If the horse, let's say, weighs 57 kg, the jockey has to go out with his body weight and inclusive all his equipment, inclusive of his saddles, bridges, which weighs at 57 kg. And when he comes back, he will be allowed an allowance of 58 kg, with 58 kilograms, or not less than 56.5 kilograms. Of course, the body weights have to be included, the saddle, the bridges, the gears, the breast check, excluding the saddle cloth, and of course the protective vest. The jockeys have to weigh out half an hour before the race. That means for race 1, we start at 6:30. The jockeys has to start weighing out at 6 o'clock. But we do allow so at 6 o'clock, we allow jockeys to weigh out race 1 and race 2. After the race 1 saddle has been cleared, we allow jockeys then to weigh out for race 3 onwards. And this procedure continues.
The procedures at the Singapore Turf Club are strictly followed to benefit both owners and punters, and penalties for deviances can include disqualification.
Only apprentices are allowed to weigh less than what the allocated weights are. So if they have to weigh less, then they have to make an application to the stipendary stewards. And the stipendary stewards will then let us know whether they allow the apprentice to weigh lesser. And if they come back lesser than half kilo, that means in the weighing in procedure, if they come back lesser than a half kilo allowance given to them, then we will have an inquiry for the jockeys and then they have to answer to the stipendary stewards why they come back lighter. In these cases, most likely the horse will be disqualified. Basically, once jockeys unsaddle the horse, they are required to weigh in immediately. Because we have to clear the jockeys to make sure that they weigh in correctly, and once we have ensured that the jockeys are weighing correctly, we have to declare the all clear so that the so-called betting dividends can be paid out promptly.
The clerk of the scales is also responsible for ensuring that the correct silks are being worn by the jockeys. This process is known as a colours check and is conducted before each race. Once the race is over and all the jockeys have weighed in to the satisfaction of the clerk of the scales, he will then signal his team members to announce that all is clear so that the punters can be paid out their dividends. His staff will instantly have this flashed across the display boards. With so much at stake, it is truly from behind the scenes that the clerk of the course conducts one of the most integral functions in ensuring the confidence of racegoers within the system.